Chapter to the state of the nation. Ini's first few days back in Nigeria were a whirlwind of emotions and encounters. He spent time with his family, reconnecting with his mother and meeting his younger sister's children. But as he ventured out into the community, he was struck by the stark reality of corruption and inequality. One day, while running errands, Ini was stopped at a police checkpoint. The officer, a burly man with a scruffy beard, demanded a bribe, citing a fictional traffic violation. Ini, still adjusting to the local customs, hesitated before handing over a few hundred naira. The officer pocketed the money with a smirk. "Welcome back to Nigeria, my friend. You'll get used to it." Ini seethed with frustration. This was not the Nigeria he remembered. Later that day, he visited the local hospital, where his sister worked as a nurse. The facility was understaffed and underfunded, with patients spilling out into the corridors. Ini saw a young girl, no more than 10 years old, lying on a makeshift bed, her eyes sunken with malaria. His sister explained that the hospital lacked basic medicines and equipment, and that the government had abandoned its promises to improve healthcare. Ini felt a deep sense of injustice. This was a country blessed with natural resources, yet its people suffered due to corruption and mismanagement. As he walked through the market, Ini saw more evidence of inequality. The wealthy elite, often connected to the government or oil industry, flaunted their opulence, while the majority struggled to make ends meet. He met with old friends who shared stories of their struggles to find work, to access basic services, and to survive in a system rigged against them. Ini realized that his return was not just about reconnecting with his roots, but also about confronting the harsh realities of his country. He felt a growing sense of purpose, a determination to use his skills and experience to make a difference. As he lay in bed that night, Ini thought of his father's words, "The land is our lifeblood, but the people are our strength." He knew that he had to join forces with others to fight for a better Nigeria, a country where everyone had access to opportunities, resources, and justice. The bustling streets of Port Harcourt. As Ini navigated the bustling streets of Port Harcourt, he encountered more examples of corruption and inequality. He saw how the wealthy elite, often connected to the government or oil industry, lived in opulent mansions, while the majority struggled to make ends meet in cramped, makeshift housing. He visited the local university, where he met with students who shared stories of outdated curricula, inadequate facilities, and corrupt lecturers who demanded bribes for grades. Ini was dismayed by the state of the education system, which seemed designed to perpetuate inequality rather than empower the next generation. Ini's encounters with corruption and inequality only strengthened his resolve to make a difference. He began attending community meetings, where he met activists, entrepreneurs, and ordinary citizens working to create positive change. One evening, he met with a group of young entrepreneurs who had started a sustainable energy project, providing solar power to off-grid communities. Ini was impressed by their ingenuity and determination. "We're not just fighting for a better Nigeria," one of them said. "We're building it, one innovation at a time." Ini felt a surge of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he could be part of this movement for change. As he delved deeper into the community, Ini discovered more stories of resilience and resistance. He met with women who had formed cooperatives to support each other's businesses, with farmers who were developing sustainable agriculture practices, and with artists who used their creativity to speak truth to power. Ini realized that the Nigeria he had returned to was complex, multifaceted, and full of contradictions, but he also saw a country with immense potential, where the human spirit could overcome even the most daunting challenges. With each passing day, Ini's sense of purpose grew. He knew that he had to contribute his skills, experience, and passion to this movement for change. He was no longer just a returnee. He was a participant, an advocate, and a champion for a better Nigeria. Ini traveled around Niger Delta regions. Ini's journey took him to the Niger Delta, where he witnessed firsthand the devastating impact of oil pollution on the environment and communities. He saw the once thriving wetlands now ravaged by oil spills, the air thick with toxic fumes, and the waterways choked with oil residue. He met with local leaders, who shared stories of how the oil companies' activities had destroyed their livelihoods, their culture, and their way of life. Ini saw the frustration, the anger, and the helplessness in their eyes. "Why has the government allowed this to happen?" Ini asked, his voice shaking with emotion. One of the leaders, a wise elder, looked at him with a deep sadness. "The government is in bed with the oil company. They don't care about us, about our land, or about our future." Ini felt a surge of anger and determination. He knew he had to do something to help, to use his voice, his skills, and his experience to amplify the struggles of the Niger Delta people. As he traveled through the region, Ini saw more evidence of the oil companies' neglect and abuse. He saw abandoned oil facilities, leaking pipelines, and devastated communities. He met with activists who were fighting for justice, for accountability, and for a better future. Eni was inspired by their courage, their resilience, and their determination. Together, they brainstormed ideas, strategies, and solutions. Eni realized that the struggle for a better Nigeria was not just about fighting against corruption and inequality, but also about building a new future, a future that was just, equitable, and sustainable. As the sun set over the Niger Delta, Eni knew that his journey had just begun. He was no longer just a Ridderni. He was a part of a movement for change, for justice, and for a better Nigeria.